This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, it's Alex Bennett. It is the Ramble, and we go. Yes, till midnight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Larry Bubbles Brown, man of danger.
Man of danger. My theme song is Highway to the Danger Zone.
Yeah, right. How you doing, Larry?
Good. I was trying to find some Oscar trivia for you, and I didn't know that Walter Brennan won 3 Oscars.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Walter Brennan. I remember Walter Brennan. Was only one of the
There's
few.
36, 38, and 40. It was, got to forget what the films were, but
36, 38, and 40. Well, hold on a second. He didn't win it for, like, Grapes of Wrath, did he? No. I don't think he was in that. I don't think he was in that. What could he possibly won for? Sergeant York, maybe? I don't
supporting actor. Then I think he was up. He always won in the even years, and then I think he was up for another one and didn't win the last one.
But do you remember what the pictures were?
Might have been, was How Green Was My Valley?
Probably, if it was probably How Green Was My Valley. Let me look him up here in the IMDb. You are? IMDb and Walter Brennan. Brennan. Boy, it's amazing when time passes how far back Walter Brennan is. He was in, let's see here, Walter Brennan. He won Oscars for Best Supporting Actor, 3, but it doesn't, which ones did he win? Let's see here. It doesn't say. He was on The Real McCoys on TV. Supporting actor, won him his very first Best Actor supporting role. Come and Get It was the movie. It was the first
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it was the first one. Yeah. Well, anyway, he won 3 Oscars. Well, that you're right. That you're absolutely correct.
And now we're the only 2 people that know who he is.
Let's see here. What years were they?
I think 36, 38, and 40.
36, 38, 40. 36, 30, I got to go to 36 here. In 36, he did, how many films did he do in 36? God, he did a lot of films in 36. He did 3 Godfathers, which was a very good picture, by the way. These 3, Fury, Come and Get It. That's what he won it for. What was the next year?
38.
38. What could he have won it for? Mother Carries Chickens? I don't think so. The Texan, the Cowboy and the Lady, Kentucky. It's one of those pictures. Who knows?
I think it was Kentucky.
Really? And what was the last one? But
that could have been How Green Was My Valley.
Last year was what?
40.
40? Northwest Passage, it says, is the only one he made in 40.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. Who knows? I don't know if he was in How Green Was My Valley. Was he?
I'm not sure, but I just saw that he'd won 3. But
now, what's interesting is we're having a discussion here, and about 90% of our audience is going, who was Walter Brennan?
I only know him from a kid from watching The Real McCoys.
Yeah. But
and he literally looked like he was 90 then. So.
Do you want to know what his, the way he got a lot of work in Hollywood and how he became a star? This is very interesting.
Only you would know this. I'd like to hear.
At a very young age, he lost all his teeth.
Really?
So he had to wear dentures. He had to wear false teeth. And he had the ability to take them out and to play characters without the teeth, which would make him appear older. So he could do a great variety of roles. Teeth in, teeth out,
Oh, Jesus.
You want to hear another piece of tooth trivia?
Yes.
Do you ever notice when you see Boris Karloff in his Frankenstein face get up that there's a little indentation in the side of his mouth?
Mm-hmm.
His mouth is hollowed out. I think it's on the right hand side. There's a hollow. I think it's on the right hand side. He was missing a tooth, and what they did was they pulled the fake tooth, and it made that face get more shallow, and they made him look spookier. So, there's more tooth trivia, folks, for movies. Otherwise, I'm finished. That's my tooth trivia. So.
There cannot be any more tooth trivia in Hollywood.
No, we're very good at our tooth trivia, aren't we?
Yeah.
So how you been doing? What are you starting to get work again now that the COVID seems to be on the wane?
Looks I haven't, but it looks like things are starting to open up, so I hope I will. Unemployment runs out in September, so I better get working here.
Well, now, you work a lot with Dana Carvey when he does stand-up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also he has started a podcast, which I'm going to be part of. So.
Oh, that's good. That's terrific. But he, give him my best, by the way. I always liked Dana. He was a terrific guy.
I will do.
Yeah. I watched the documentary again on Hulu about his TV show and how it failed and why it failed and everything. And we went back and watched all those shows, and they were very, very experimental. I don't know if you remember them at all.
Yeah, it was. I got to see the documentary. I heard it's great, but it was just the show was way too dark for what people perceived Dana.
It wasn't. You know what it was when ABC hired him to do that show, to do a show. They went, Dana Carvey, church lady. He'll bring the church lady thing with him, and he'll bring the this and the that and the Garth and then and he didn't bring any of it. He just, went full board dark, and a lot of the comedy was really very experimental and very good. And you had these were the initial jobs for several people. Stephen Colbert, Steve Carell, Louis C.K. was the head writer on the show.
I think Robert Smigel.
Robert Smigel was on the show, and there was one other person that was there. Charlie Kaufman, who wrote Spotless Mind and Being John Malkovich. Great screenwriter. But they all started there on Dana's show. It was an amazing amalgam of talent that they got in one place at one time. You got any other trivia questions for me?
No, but I'd like to hear more about this documentary. I got to see it.
Yeah, no, it's on Hulu. But then, since you don't get all these things, and since you don't have the internet, you can't get it. When are you going to come into the 19th century? When are you going to start coming into our world here? I mean, you completely. It's like. Now, maybe it's not bad. I don't know. But you're locked out of a certain part of the society because you don't have high-speed internet.
I am, but I hear if you go off the grid completely that you feel much better. So I'm actually thinking about doing that.
Well, wait a minute. If you go off the grid, how do you feel better?
People that have done that say they don't, this crap just rots your mind.
When you pay a bill, let me ask you this. When you pay a bill, how do you pay it?
I write a check out, put it in an envelope, walk down to the post office.
Nobody does that anymore.
That would be nice because you always have to wait like days for the thing to clear.
I had one dentist that required that I write a check. Not dentist, a urologist. That I get write a check. Okay. So I had to figure out where my checks were, and they were so old. They were the last bank I had, which was Chemical Bank, but it had become Bank of America, and I could still use the checks because it was the same account number, right? So I grab that and I start writing out the check. I completely forgot how to write a check. You know, I know you do something like you spell out $533.00XX. Right? That I remembered. And then my problem is, as I've gotten older, I have no signature. I don't know what it is, but I cannot write my entire name. I used to write it very neatly. Bennett Schwarzman, right? And now it's just like Ben. Just this, and somehow they always cash it anyway. So, but but writing a check was a real problem because everywhere that I pay a bill now, I can do it online. I use a credit card and I pay for it that way. You know, so you know, the fact that you have a lot of envelopes around the house, do you?
I do. Yeah.
And do you have a lot of stamps?
I have stamps.
Yeah, okay, very good. I don't know where my stamps are. I have no idea. They're somewhere in the house. And unless they were forever stamps, they're probably 32-cent stamps.
Yeah. They were 4 cents when I was a kid.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was a kid, they were a penny. Are you ready for that?
A penny? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Just a penny stamp. You put it on there, and you were good to go. Oh, yeah. Listen, I remember gas when it was when it didn't exist. No, I remember gas when it was they used to have price wars, and I saw it go as low as 9 cents a gallon.
9? Wow.
But normally,
yeah, they used to give you. Remember, they used to give you glasses and things to come in and buy their gas.
Do you remember the days at all of S&H green stamps?
My parents had those. Yeah, they put them in those books, and you get a toaster after you get 500 books or something.
But what happened was they had these books. In case people don't know this, every time you go to a store, they gave S&H green stamps. So you got so many green.
Sperry and Hutchinson.
Oh, really? Is that what it stood for?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Anyway, so so you would get these stamps, and then you would have to lick them and put them in this book. And they would give you tons of them, and then you had these books, and then when they had all the stamps in them, you could barely close them. Right? You remember that?
Yeah.
And then you had to have 20 books before you could even get the toaster. Right? So it really was, what a terrible, terrible idea that was. Yeah.
How long did that last?
They were big for a while. I mean, stores had S&H green stamps because it made people want to come to their store. So, it wasn't that, it was pretty ridiculous. But, I'm glad you remember S&H green stamps.
Yeah, we're the only ones that would remember that.
Yeah. I think they died. I think they were only in the 50s, maybe the early 50s, maybe right after the war. I don't know when they first.
No, I remember them in the early 60s.
Oh, really? Well, I think they kept going into the 60s, but I think they were really popular in the 50s. And I don't know if my parents ever collected them. I think you were almost forced to collect them because they would just give them to you when you walked out of a grocery store.
I remember helping my mother putting them in those stupid books.
But you had to lick them all.
Yeah, I had to lick them. It was disgusting.
And you wouldn't take off a stamp, lick it, and put it in, then take another stamp and lick it. What you would do is you take a whole bunch of the stamps, wet them down, and just adhere them to the page, right? Or do you remember doing each one individually?
I just remember they came in sheets, and then sometimes you get single stamps. It was really a mess.
Well, I remember, the Seinfeld episode was Seinfeld's with George's girlfriend, who was going to marry, licking the envelopes for the wedding invitations, and then dying because it's toxic glue. Okay.
Because George got the cheap stuff.
Because he got the cheap envelopes.
Yeah.
And I whenever I thought of that, then I thought of the green stamps, and I thought, what kind of gum wound up in your stomach from licking all these green stamps? And then people would go out and get these things that would wet them down so you didn't have to lick them. But, I mean, they were massive. You had to have a massive amount of these things in order to get anything. So my parents had the attitude about, we don't need this, you know. They'd take the stamps, bring them home, throw them in the garbage, you know. So that was S&H Green Stamps, folks. Another oldie but goodie you'll learn here on Old Folks Radio here with the old fart Alex Bennett and the slightly younger punk Larry Bubbles Brown.
How corporate America killed America with their toxic glue.
You know, I woke up this morning with the horrible thought in my mind that this year, in December, I'm going to hit 82. I keep saying 90. 82. And I'm going, this is getting ridiculous. You know, I'm thankful for it, you know, but it's getting ridiculous. Plus, what do you do when you get this old? You wonder if this is your last day on Earth. Right?
You do, yeah.
Yeah, but you probably feel that way, and you're not even my age.
No, someone told me they had a friend who's 49 that just dropped dead, a heart attack. So,
yeah.
And that ain't that old.
How do you drop dead at that age of a heart attack?
Apparently had a bad heart to begin with.
It must have been a bad heart to begin with because you haven't used your heart that much, or you haven't done that much. You couldn't do enough cocaine at that age to die, you know.
Steve McQueen died at 50.
Yeah, but he died of, what did he have? Did he have pancreatic cancer? What was it?
He had abdominal cancer.
Abdominal cancer, yeah.
Yeah.
And he went down to Mexico to try and get cured for it and everything. You know.
Yeah. So.
And that was I kind of felt sad when he died. Number one, because he was young. And secondly, because I did kind of like him in the movies. You know.
What would if he had lived today, what would he be doing at age 90?
Oh, I don't know. There'd be somebody accusing him of Me Too or something. You know?
He inappropriately kissed a woman in 1961.
Yeah, right. You know, I mean, who knows? But, you know, Steve McQueen, what I used to always say is, I remember once I had the guy, Mark Frost, who was the one of the guys who created Twin Peaks with David Lynch. And I had him in at Live 105, and we were sitting there talking about, you know, Twin Peaks. And finally I said to him, I said, I've always had a theory that if James Dean had lived long enough, people would go, what would have happened to his career? And I always have said he would have wound up on Twin Peaks. And he said, oh, yeah, we would have hired him to be the head of the hotel.
Perfect.
Yeah, which would have put Richard Bamer out of work, who played Tony in West Side Story, and the next thing he did after that was Twin Peaks, because nobody would hire him for anything.
He had a lull.
But no, he said, I would have hired him for that role. He said, yeah, absolutely he would have been on Twin Peaks. Because we think these people would have gone on to big success. You got to remember that James Dean only had 3 movies under his belt before he died. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what would have happened after that? You know, would he have taken bigger and better roles? Would he have won lots of Academy Awards? Or would he have, taken crappier films and not really cared about his career that, you know, so, you know. I had a friend of mine who died recently named Jack Garfine, who was at the Actors Studio and also directed a couple of movies. And he is responsible for having discovered James Dean. He hired James Dean for the first play James Dean was ever in. And he became close friends with James Dean. In fact, he saw him just as he pulled out of the studio in the sports car to go up north. And I asked him about James Dean. First of all, I always assumed that James Dean was gay. I don't know why. Have you assumed that?
Well, they always said he was gay or bi. That's what I always heard.
Yeah, I said, was he gay? He said, no, absolutely not. He never had any indication that James Dean was gay. He said, you know, he had problems keeping the women away from him, but, you know, he wasn't gay. So, okay. You know, but we don't know what would have happened had his career gone further. Would he have lasted another 2 years? Who knows? Maybe not, you know. Would his career have stalled? And then if it stalled, where would that wind up? And probably that's a straight path to Twin Peaks, right? So
That would have been great.
That's my theory. That's my theory of what he would have done. The trouble is that we have people who are become legends. And why do they become legends? Because they died young.
Yeah.
And so we never got a chance to see them get old. We never got to see the fat pictures of Liz Taylor, for instance, like Liz Taylor did. If Liz Taylor had died at like 35, she would be emblazoned, as an icon because of those looks. But she got older, and we saw her get older. And so our last images of her are different than the image that we had of her during the career.
That's a good point. That's why Marilyn Monroe dies at 36, and you still think, wow, she was hot.
Marilyn Monroe today might be a big fat slob. Yeah. I mean, we don't know. I mean, do you ever see what Ginger Rogers? I always like to point out Ginger Rogers. Do you ever see how she turned out? Just horrible.
Not good.
I'll tell you who you can see now, which is kind of interesting. If you watch the Kaminsky Method on Netflix, which of course you don't have, so you can't see it. There is a Kathleen Turner's on the show, and she's overweight and husky voiced and old. And at one point in the show, because she plays the ex-wife of Michael Douglas, she says to him, you always used to say I was the best-looking piece of ass you ever saw. And if you were somebody like some kid watching that show, you go, how can you say she was a piece of ass? The fact was, Kathleen Turner was a piece of ass back in the day.
Body heat, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was one of the sexiest women in movies, one of the most sultry, hottest women in movies. So you do see how with time, age does its little ravaging. And so if Kathleen Turner had died at 35, 40, we'd remember her as this icon. But we remember her now as the big, fat, pudgy Kathleen Turner, who's still a very good actress, I might add. But, that's where we differ, okay? That's where we... so I say that you have to die young, and then you become a legend.
If you want to be a legend, you got to die young.
Yeah. Then you become a caricature in Nighthawks. That painting of the diner or something. But anyway, it's. I'm trying to think of other people who've died young.
Well, don't you think John Kennedy was probably remembered as a much better president than he was?
Oh, yeah, because he was assassinated. Yeah, absolutely. He was not a very good president. He was actually, he was a first-term president who had been a one- or two-time senator, I think one-time senator. And the same as Obama. I mean, if Obama had been a one-term president, we wouldn't think of him as being very decent. But he got a chance to really learn his craft. On the other hand, you got a guy like Biden who's been learning his craft all his life. So, there's the difference there. But hey, listen, we've run out of time. In fact, we spent more time than we usually spend here. Usually we do about 15 minutes, and right now we're up at 23. Oh, wow. Well, I better get rid of you before my audience gets mad at me.
We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. We'll cut you down to a minute and a half. Larry, I love you.
I love you, buddy.
And maybe we'll see each other soon now that this whole thing is coming to a wonderful end, thank God. Anyway, talk to you later. Larry Bubbles Brown, folks.
Bye-bye.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh, sure. Do it again, Bennett. we're playing this theme all over again is because Daddy fucked up. Yes, I ruined the whole beginning of the show, so I figured we have to do a clean recording of this thing, okay? So those people who didn't hear Larry Bubbles Brown didn't hear Larry Bubbles Brown, okay? All right? Okay. So that was the first part of the show, so the rest of you are just going to get the citizen panel part of the show, okay? Unless I fix this tomorrow, which I don't know if I want to do that. Anyway, I think it's kind of time for me to get all these people admitted into our let me see here, here they come. And you know who we have, of course, Jeff, and we have Alan, and we have Charlie, but we also have an old friend from Australia, ladies and gentlemen, Ross Manuel. What was the name you used to go by?
Doc.
Okay, so to some of you, he's Doc. I always kind of remember he was Ross Manuel, oddly enough, because you always used to write me under that name and so on. But anyway, Ross is in Australia right now. And last night I didn't do a show, but I did answer a few callers that were coming in to the show because I wanted to inform them that we weren't doing a show. See how wonderful I am, that sort of thing. And Doc and I were talking about last night the way Australia is handling this. You say you're finally closing down is what's happening?
Well, we're closing down again. So when it all started last year, the federal government decided that they were going to shut the whole country down. Basically, we followed New Zealand. We did the non-essential work. You couldn't travel. Yeah. Our borders closed.
Yeah.
So for about 100 days, that's it. And we did okay. And unfortunately, that success has been our undoing.
I see. Well, because, you see, you've got a unique position. You're an island. And so you can just say, okay, we don't want anybody in here who might give us COVID. And you can kind of isolate yourself from the rest of the world until the crisis has passed, right?
Essentially, yeah. So what that also did is allowed us to build up our medical infrastructure, because we never had, Ebola or Zika or SARS or MERS or swine flu or bird flu. We didn't have any of those because of our biosecurity laws. And we basically treated the pandemic the same way we treat our border security, is that if you're not welcome, you can't come here.
Yeah. Now, right now, don't you work in a hospital, if I remember correctly?
No, I work in a museum.
In a museum. Well, same thing.
My wife works in a hospital.
It's a place for sick dinosaurs. But for instance, you're in what part of Australia?
So I'm in southern New South Wales. So I'm about 2 hours south of Sydney, which is currently in lockdown, and an hour north of the capital. Okay. Very much like a Washington, D.C. kind of situation.
So how bad is it up there? I mean, for instance, how many people are dying? How many people have got it? Do you know?
The total number who are dying, we have not had a single COVID death in 6 months.
And you guys are going into lockdown?
Yep, because we had 83 confirmed cases in Sydney of the Delta strain.
Oh, okay. All right.
Our total deaths is 910 deaths and 30,000 cases.
Okay, how many deaths have we had in this country? Charlie keeps the stats for us. How many people are dead in the United States?
603,523.
So don't complain.
What you guys also have is an actual vaccine rollout.
Yes. Which you don't have, which you said you had, but you had the AstraZeneca.
Yeah,
and
so
it was
because we don't have a lot of the manufacturing, so we couldn't produce the Pfizer or the Moderna or any of the RNA-based viruses, and we had supply issues coming in because of Europe. We banked very heavily on AstraZeneca, something that we could produce locally. The data has come out that's basically meant that we're phasing AstraZeneca out as of October because it's no longer considered viable or safe to anyone under the age of 60.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Yes,
you guys haven't even approved yet.
Alan has a question.
Yeah. So a friend of mine's a ER doc in Brisbane, Australia,
Mhm.
up north from you there, and he said that they're just now got approval for Moderna, and told me they're going into lockdown. The whole, I don't know what you call it, the eastern or western side of Australia, eastern side is going into lockdown right now.
Yeah, so
Again, and because the rollout that they even had with the AZ, with the AstraZeneca, was horrible.
it comes down to we banked on our distance as our defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't come into Australia, so therefore we didn't need to worry about how to deal with people when they came to Australia. But because everything's loosening up, we've now got all these cases of hotel quarantine. So basically you have to quarantine in a hotel at your expense for 14 days before you come here. Unfortunately, hotels aren't quarantine facilities. So they're not designed for, isolating people. So, and the government's like, well, hotel quarantine works. It did initially with the earlier strains. With Delta, because the way it spreads, it doesn't work, which is why it keeps getting out into the community. And because of that, of that, now that we're now moving to dedicated quarantine facilities, basically what we did at the beginning, because Australia has offshore processing of all our illegal immigrants, the joys of having islands that surround us that we own, we're going back to that approach as opposed to hotel-based, which will take some time.
So you're using them for quarantine rather than prison islands.
Effectively, yeah.
Weren't they used as prison islands in the old days?
Not so much prison islands. Basically, if our Navy picked up any people smuggler boats or people trying to come to Australia illegally, because we have a very short ocean gap between us and Indonesia and New Guinea, you would be taken to one of the 6 islands that surround us that Australia has territorial domain over, and you'd be processed. Your asylum application would be processed there.
I never heard of any of those islands. Can you name them?
There's Nauru, there's Christmas Island. There is, they're the 2 main ones. And then we have there's like Norfolk Island, Fraser Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
they've got populations of like 110 people.
Wow.
But we're very much like the United States. We don't have.
Well, if they got a population of 110 people and you're going to send a bunch of possible COVID people to those islands, they're not going to be too happy.
Which is why we're co-opting military bases.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a lot of military bases that we're going to convert into quarantine facilities.
Yeah, but you don't have quite the problem that you would have were you not so safe about it. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, you're being proactive is what it's all about,
Yes, like our government was criticized. We were one of the first countries to close our border to China. We were one of the first countries to close our borders to Europe, to the United States. People are like, well, but you're going to destroy the economy. And it's like, yes, but we've only had 30,000 cases and 910 deaths.
Yeah.
And I have never been in lockdown. I only wear a mask at work because I work in a museum. But I've never had any of the problems. I don't know a single person who has had COVID. Where I live has gone 329 days without a single COVID case.
Oh,
and that's without being vaccinated.
I would bet 6 months ago you wouldn't be saying that if you lived in Melbourne, Australia.
No, that's different. That is different. Yes, I live in Canberra, so
right.
The capital has had 0 cases the entire length of the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you again, Ross. I mean, this is wonderful. I think this is a wonderful thing about the internet is that we can be doing a show here and you can be in Australia. And you look just as good as anybody else, and it's just as clear, And in the old days, we used to use Skype, which wasn't as good. This is really clean, and everybody looks terrific.
Oh yeah.
How you doing, Kevin?
Hey, Alex. How you doing?
Good. And how you doing, Josh?
Good. How are you?
There we go. And Charlie Wallace, how are you doing these days?
On pins and needles.
Pins and needles?
Yeah, Longhorns are playing Mississippi State in the College World Series, and it's 5-2 going into the ninth inning.
Oh, really?
Texas
Oh,
is
okay. All right.
You might as well turn the TV off, Charlie. Texas is going to lose.
We'll see.
Did you say that just because of what he's wearing on his chest?
Not me. I would never be sarcastic.
You would never be sarcastic. Hello, Jeff. How you doing?
I went to Australia for about a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
How
And,
was it? Was it a nice vacation?
It was not a vacation. It was work.
It was work.
Wow.
Oh, did you have any?
But I did take a week where I went to one of these little islands, and there was only 4 people on the island,
On the whole island?
and we were 2 of them.
You were 2 of them.
I was one of them.
Well, wait a minute. If you go to an island that's only got 2 other people there, I mean, it's not like they've got. Did you have a place to stay?
We brought like tent equipment.
You brought tent equipment. How long ago was that?
Oh,
Because
40
I
years
can't
ago.
imagine you camping at your age.
Well,
Not
at
his
this
age,
age,
but
no.
40 years
Well,
ago.
wait a minute. I can't imagine camping at my age.
I went to Machu Picchu too in Peru.
You know, when you get to be my age, you know, you want a toilet that works. Okay,
Absolutely.
you know, I mean,
Running water, an air conditioner.
yeah, and you know, and maybe takeout food. You know, so I mean, it's just it's a whole deal. But anyway, so you were there when? How long ago?
I think it was 40 years ago.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, you know, Australia is really beautiful.
It is. It was a very nice country.
Was anybody here saying it wasn't beautiful?
No, I'm going to make a point here. They have the 10 most deadly spiders, the 10 most deadly snakes, and the 10 most deadly sea creatures of anywhere in the world. Someplace that beautiful with such a deadly. I mean,
Right.
in Sydney, they have this little spider that's a bite is as deadly as it goes for first runner up in the world, along with the Brazilian wandering spider.
Is he telling us the truth here, Ross?
Yeah.
Is he accurate?
Yeah, it's called the funnel web, Sydney funnel web, and it's
yeah.
only within Sydney and around that area. For
Oh,
some reason, it
great.
doesn't
Oh,
work.
great. You move to the big capital of Australia and you've got the world's worst spider. That's terrific.
Sydney
Well-
funnel web.
Sydney also has a lot of bushland, so the funnel webs. There's a common misconception that I love to debunk is that I go outside and I get attacked by spiders. I have to go several miles into bumfuck nowhere to get into encounter these spiders.
Oh, okay.
It's all
Like
right.
the
You
city-
can go-
You know what's interesting is
You
that
can go
in the United States we have a city called Bumfuck too. Isn't that amazing?
It's a universal town.
It's a
You know,
universe
they
down
they
there.
recently changed it to New York City.
We've got some
What
of
are
the
you
most.
what are you saying? Are you dissing my city?
No, I love New York City actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Spider lives
The
matter.
United States has some of the most deadly people in almost every city in America.
Yes,
you
you're
go.
very good point. Very
Good point, Kevin.
We've had let's see, people are starting to kill people here in New York again. What I like about it is we're getting back to our old selves. You know,
Yep,
uh,
all over the place.
I thought COVID had kind of stifled all that kind of stuff. You know, people were afraid to go out. You know.
They just stocked up on more ammo.
Yeah. So, well, I told Marjorie, you know, well, I mentioned this before, that when the whole COVID thing was on, I said, you know, the minute this is over, the shooting is going to start. You know, that people will kind of have had being indoors for, you know, a year or whatever, and they're going to go crazy. They're just going to go nuts. So hope you never get over COVID in Australia. Okay.
We have gun control.
They have
You do
gun
have
control.
Explain your gun control, because Alan here, of course, is a gun advocate. He believes in it, but
So, technically speaking, Australia does have guns. We still have guns. We are a rural, farming, agricultural-based
Okay.
country.
yeah.
We still have hunting. We still have guns, but they're regulated, and they have to be properly secured, and they have to be properly checked, and they have to be properly registered. And it is And what they did, basically after in 1991, there was the Port Arthur Massacre, which is the most deadliest mass shooting in Australia had up until that point.
Yeah.
After that point, they basically said there is no reason for an average civilian to have military-grade weapons. So we still have rifles, we still have shotguns, we still have pistols, but we don't have semi-automatic or fully automatic weapons in the hands of local people.
And if you want to have any of those other types of guns, like shotguns, handguns, rifles, and whatever, you do have to register them, right? And there's
you
a
have
process.
to be a part of a registered body. So you have to join like a shooting club or a hunting club or a registered body. You have to get insurance on the weapon. You have to be trained on how to use it. You have to be go through like psychological, mental processing to make sure that you're not going to do something stupid. That's not to say we don't have illegal firearms in the country. We do, because we have borders and we have ports. Illegal guns come in all the time. We also have outlawed motorcycle gangs. We have gun crime.
Well, I saw those motorcycle gangs in Mad Max, so I know they exist.
Yeah. But the difference is that our gun crime is very insular. It's very gang on gang. It's not person going into school or person going into shopping center or person disgruntled worker going back into place of employment.
But you did have that massacre that happened. And that was unusual for you guys. You didn't have those you didn't have those kind of mass shootings up to that point, did you?
We had about 30 in the preceding 15 years. But our classification of mass shooting is more than 5 people.
How many got killed in that massacre?
It was like 29.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was at a historical. So Port Arthur is a convict settlement historical landmark. So people go and visit. It's like visiting battlefields in colonial United States.
Right.
People go to experience their history. Guy came in with his semi-automatic rifle, shot up the place. Then basically the prime minister at the time organized a gun buyback, which basically said, we will buy for any gun that we no longer deem you to have, we'll buy it off you, no questions asked. And every 5 or 10 years, we do another buyback amnesty, where it's like, hey, if you found your grandfather's 303 that's been sitting in the shed for 60 years, we'll buy that off you. We don't care. The last time we had one, anti-tank rifle was turned in.
Oh, Jesus.
Old mate from the First World War brought it home, and it sat in the back shed. And he's like, what do I do? The relatives are like, oh, what do we do with this? The police are like, okay, we'll take it.
Yeah. Fair game.
But that's how we regulate our guns. Like, we don't say, oh, you can't have guns. People like to say Australia doesn't have guns.
Alan, do you have any problem with the way they're doing it in Australia?
Oh, a lot of it is like California, except for we don't require a mental thing, but their California laws, New York City laws are a lot like that too.
Kathleen, you raised your hand.
I've had a concealed carry for 26 years. So when I was with you, Alex, I had a concealed carry, but I never talked about it. But never did I conceal carry with you.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I know that never happened because I know that if I can get personal here, I undressed you on several occasions and you never seemed to have any weapons on you.
No, I mean, never. I mean, it's, if you're a true concealed carry, you don't talk about it. You don't brag about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
why did you decide to be a concealed carry?
Because I had a federal, I have federal training.
Okay, but I mean, why did you? Oh, so you got it because you had for your job you had to have it?
I worked for UPS. I did a lot of work with the DEA, the FBI, the CIA, the DEA. I mean, I did work with the ATF.
God, all the people that were trying to get me. Were you spying on me?
No, but do you think anyone would have gotten to you? Do you think? I mean.
Oh, I felt very safe around you.
Yeah.
She had assault with a deadly weapon. Her breasts.
I mean, in my younger years,
those big old breasts.
Yeah, I think yours are bigger than hers.
I think so too.
I'm jealous,
Like-
Al.
Okay.
But at the end of your argument, we have guns. The guy next door, the house right over here, he goes pig hunting. I've seen it. He has securely secured in his property a gun safe. It is a 12-gun safe.
Wow.
And he is, and the police do spot checks every, indeterminate period. And he has to produce, only X number of people can you access the safe.
Yep.
He has to present each rifle, each ammunition has to be stored separately, and it has to be like, do you have the paperwork for this weapon? Yes or no? Where is it? I want to see it. And the police can stop him at any time. You're like, I want to see your paperwork. I want to see your guns.
I believe that in England,
handing the police some money stops all that.
I believe, if I'm not wrong, in England, they have very tough gun laws. And one of the things is, if you want to have a gun for hunting, you have to belong, as you say in Australia, a club, and then you had to keep the gun at the club. You couldn't keep it at home. And so you would go to the club to go out hunting, and you would take out your gun from the wherever they put them, and you would go do your hunting, and then when you were through, you would give it back, and they would take care of it for you. Is that
That's what happens in Sydney. Yeah, when I lived in Sydney, because you had to be a part of a pistol club or rifle club, you couldn't keep your weapon at home. You had to store it at the actual club. But I'm in rural, farmland now. There's farms all around me, so it's very much here. Like you need to have a what's the equivalent? 380-pound safe that's securely mounted to 3 anchor points in your property to be able to actually store any weapons on your premises.
Okay.
What they're saying is 2 meth addicts can come in and steal that 360-pound safe.
Australia doesn't have a meth problem, so
yeah.
Well, or something like that.
Meth make you.
A 300-pound safe or 400-pound safe is not hard to carry out.
Meth makes you strong,
but
like
it does have to be secured to the premises, so it has to be bolted into a concrete slab or secured to the wall or something.
Right.
So it can't be a transportable safe.
I understand.
Now look at Ray Renati, ladies and gentlemen. He's working out. Don't you all feel that he's doing it for us?
No.
I'm not doing it for you. I just did not have time today, and I wanted to do the show.
Yeah, well, here's my question: did you buy yourself that bike?
I've had this bike for like 25 years. It's on a machine. It's an outdoor bike on a trainer.
Oh, it's a regular bike.
Yeah.
I see, and then
it's on a little portable trainer thing.
How many S&H green stamps did it take to get it?
Yeah,
it just doesn't go anywhere.
I know the US is having some power issues, but I didn't know you had to pedal power your own power at the moment.
Don't you miss going to the blue chip stamp store, the green chip stamp? That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Did that as a kid.
Me too. Oh well.
Yeah, well, I don't.
I like Ray's hat. It's cute.
I don't think you had any of those green stamps or anything like that in Australia, did you?
No, we've never had. Well,
saving
stamps. We kind of did. Like, hearing what you and Larry talking about earlier, we had the kid promotion things, but ours is school usually like related to schools.
Yeah.
So like you get a stamp and then your school will get money to buy school supplies.
I think we had something like that here, if I remember correctly.
We still have it. My kids had it. It was called eScript.
Yeah.
Yes. And there was another one called School Pop. There were 2 of them.
Yeah. Ours are just called earn. Yeah, school earn tickets.
Alex, did you know what S&H stood for?
Yes, we earlier. Although the audience would not have heard.
Sperry and Hutchinson.
I heard it.
Sperry and Hutchinson. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they were S&H green stamps, and by the time you put in the last stamp, so you could get maybe a wad of bubble gum or something, you were so parched from licking stamps. Because you had to get thousands of stamps before you could get anything.
But that's the way all stamps were made at that time.
Nah, not if you were my dad's gas station owner. We got them by the roll.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah, we had rolls of them like this.
Yeah.
And my mom would have my dad bring them home from the gas station.
Yeah.
And we'd have a sponge and just lay them out and roll them on the sponge and put them in the book page at a time.
This is why I can never win any of those
Go get me a
competitions.
fucking blender. Go get me a blender. Go get me this.
Ovens forever.
This is why I can never win any of those competitions that the fast food restaurants have.
My family never did it. They just thought it was stupid.
We had the blue chip and the green stamps because we had to give them away at the gas station when they had, you got $15 worth of gas. You go over to the thing and dial the 1500, and if you didn't give that old lady the green stamps, she let you know you didn't get the green stamps.
Oh, they gave
I want my stamps.
Like
Nowadays, $15 worth of gas is like 2 gallons.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. When I was a kid, I swear to you, I saw gas. When they used to have things called gas wars. You remember those, Jeff? Gas wars.
I was involved in all of them.
Well, you're younger than me, so probably you saw the price go down to like $1. Okay.
We used to have them because of the gas station down the block, and my dad would say,
I swear to you,
lower the price.
I'm old enough that I remember when gas was 29 cents a gallon. And when they held the price wars, I saw it go down as low as 9 cents a gallon.
We used to go fill the mini bike up the street of the Chevron for 22 cents.
When I was a little kid, there was a gas station near our house, and I specifically remember this. It was like 24 cents a gallon.
Well, this
like in the early 70s.
I'll tell you something that happened before I was born, actually.
You're talking about gasoline. I thought you were talking about methane gas.
The Standard Oil.
You'll have to eat beans and everything.
Can I tell my story?
No.
Oh, thank you. Right. Well,
you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, all I need is Tony here now to tell me to go fuck myself.
Tony's other half.
Anyway, I wasn't on last night because that thing with Tony just so put me off. I didn't even want to do a show last night. But anyway, so no, what happened was years ago, before I was born, you had Standard Oil in New Jersey, and they wanted to take over everything. Oops. I just lost the page.
That's what my dad worked for.
They wanted to take over everything, and so what they did was they would find a guy who had a great gas station on a corner doing terrific business, okay, because he was the only thing in the neighborhood. And what they would do is on the other corner they would put up what was called a what dog? Oh boy!
Watchdog.
No, it had a name. And it was called something dog gas. I'm trying to remember the name of it now. Jeez, my mind.
Dog gas?
No, it had something. It was something dog gas. Okay, and what would happen is they would open up that gas station and they would just, because they were Standard Oil in New Jersey and they could afford it, they just brought the prices down to nothing. And they put the guy on the other corner out of business. And the minute he went out of business, the dog station, okay, they did away with and just put up a Chevron station, or a Standard Oil in New Jersey, I think at that time was what it was. That's how they put guys out of business. What was that called? Something dog.
I know
Mafia.
I can't remember either, but they did it a couple of times in the San Francisco too.
Oh, really?
My dad was involved. He owned 4 stations between the Great Highway up 19th Avenue and then ended up down in the San Mateo area.
Yeah, but this is how
all Standard Oil.
If anybody can look it up, in fact, it was a term later on when I was growing up that was used to mean something that was built to put somebody else out of business.
Yeah, I can't remember what they called it.
It was a something.
Now they call that Donald Trump.
Mafia.
Right.
Yeah.
Mob.
Yeah. By the way, did you see the old Donald's company is probably going to get charged by the state of New York, indicted by the state of New York for.
Yay.
But I don't know what all they can do is go after the company, right? They can't. Am I right, Josh? They can only go after the company. They're not going after Trump or any individuals in particular.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't know what I didn't hear anything about that today. So.
Well, I love watching MSNBC because over there They're like jerking off like crazy every time they find out that Trump might be, his company might be indicted for something, and they're all rubbing their hands together and going, wow, it's terrific.
We call that noticias de puñeteros. News of masturbators.
Yeah, okay.
Jesus Christ.
Robert Colossus in the chat room says it was called yellow dog gas.
Yellow dog, that was it.
That's what it was.
You can get information from the chat.
Come on, man.
Oh, I had to look over here. Oh, yeah, yellow dog gas, Alex, says Forbin Colossus. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I remember in Australia when gas became $1 a liter and everyone lost their collective minds. Now, mind you, a liter is 3 gallons. One liter is 3 gallons.
It's 3 quarts.
Damn.
No, it's 3. It
3 quarts.
It takes 3 liters to make a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So 3 quarts. So Australia they lost their collective minds when fuel went over $1.
Gallon's right. A
Wow.
liter's more than a quart.
It's
Yeah,
more
but
than a
the
quart.
term yellow dog, I first heard when somebody just referred to it as they're doing a yellow dog on you or something like that. It became an actual term for trying to put somebody else out of business by lowering your prices.
I
on
never
the
heard
other
that
corner.
term before.
Yeah. Those were the days when Standard Oil of New Jersey were just the biggest assholes in America.
Oh, they didn't go away. Believe me, they ran my dad out of business.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, out in the West Coast, they were Chevron, right? They were also
Oh, they were Standard Oil as well.
Standard Oil as well, yeah.
But I think Standard Oil owned them.
Out in Richmond.
Yes, Ross.
Apparently, the phrase originated in politics. It's from the southern United States, yellow dogging someone. Someone who would vote for a candidate who represented the Democrats instead of the Republicans, because you would vote for a yellow dog before they would vote for any Republican.
Well, you see, I mean, that's probably the yellow dog evolved from the story that I told you, but it could refer to somebody who's running for office, say, as a Democrat, but he's really a Republican or something, to take votes away from other people, that kind of thing,
Yeah, basically what happened when Herbert Hoover. It started when 1928 presidential race when Herbert Hoover, between the candidates, Democrat candidate Al Smith and Republican candidate Herbert Hoover, then Senator J. Thomas Helen, who was a Democrat from Alabama, crossed and supported Hoover.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is it related to yellow journalism?
No. But
it would be gasolina de amarillo, or as we would say, gasolina de tupa verga. Thank you.
By the way, we will have a translation of this program once we put this thing up online.
So funny, can't
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dick
I feel sorry for the guy who has to see if they do the monetary on the show. Listens to this every night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I feel sorry for that guy.
How you doing, Brian? How's the whole family doing?
Everyone's doing good. My pinched nerve is still here.
Yes,
So
I should ask you about that.
Takes a while to go away, Charlie.
Percy called me Robert last year.
Yeah,
and
you and Charlie look a lot alike.
Yeah, we get that all the time. Brothers from another mother. It's just, I could put force on it and I could push something and hold something, but it's just when it's just lying here, it's like tennis elbow all the way up to the neck. So I'm going to do ice tonight and see how that works.
Oh, Ross, don't send us a chat because it shows up on the screen, and when when it shows up on the screen, it looks that way on the air as well.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's the first time we've done this.
Just a lot of pain. That's all.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. By the way, since Kathleen is here, I have often talked about the time I got, what do you call it?
Herpes.
Not herpes, but...
gonorrhea.
Foot and mouth, hoof and mouth.
No.
I paused for a moment because I can't remember what the disease was for a second, and you've got me having gonorrhea, syphilis, beriberi, and Dutch elm blight disease. No.
Don't hate on Alex. Come on.
What was it? It was when I got the thing with my eye.
Pink eye.
No. When I got
Pimples.
The thing that sounds like you should get it in your ass.
Shingles.
Shingles.
Now you have me trying to figure out what it was, but I knew what it was.
Well, I said it
Hemorrhoids.
You weren't with me when I got the shingles.
Hemorrhoids.
That was a friend of mine named Dolores who took me to the doctor.
That's a negative. It wasn't me.
It wasn't you.
You were muy limpia when we were together. Very
Where did all of a sudden you start using Spanish as a second language?
Alex?
Charlene Martinez has joined us, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Charlene.
Alex?
Yeah?
I called in because you know that my husband is Mexican, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's swearing up a storm there, Kathleen.
Thank you. Yeah, I got some backup.
You're not getting monetized tonight. That's for sure.
Verga is very nasty.
You know,
Verga is like a penis.
What's nasty about
What's wrong with that? What's nasty about that? We say that every night.
Here's an interesting.
Everybody's got to have a
I
pinga.
understand all of her Spanish.
This is interesting, and I got to figure this one out. And we'll find out after the show. But if we say really dirty words on the show a lot, they then demonetize the show.
No.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to be a total Christian.
Well, wait a minute. But I wonder if it's in Spanish that they have a machine that reads that.
Of course. Why not?
Alex.
Yes.
You know, a friend of mine today on Facebook said something about his 3 butts because his dogs, it was his 3 dogs' butt in a picture. And there's a new thing on Facebook. I said, yeah, I love your 3 butts. And a message came up and told me that I better watch it or I'm going to get in trouble with Facebook for the word butt.
Oh, muy mala. Las palabras mala.
You remember that? Hold on, gang. There was a time on Facebook where you could say just about anything you wanted to. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Well, I mean, you still can. But the problem is that you get called on it now.
I guess. Well, you have Facebook down in Australia, right?
That's how we talk, Alex.
No. But here's what I'm saying is that some countries don't allow it in. Like China, you can't get Facebook in China.
I wonder why.
What do you mean? You wonder why?
Right, Al?
Because they're communists.
Or is it? No. I think it's probably because they realize that they're not as stupid as we are. Okay.
No, it's because they're communist China.
Right. I just said that, and Australia is not. That's how they have it.
You know something?
Correct,
I thoroughly enjoyed myself in China. I mean, I when in Rome, do as the Romans do. You
blink twice.
Well, thank God you're not a burger.
What? What did you say? Yeah.
Blink twice if they're keeping you hostage.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not.
Exactly.
Well, look at the cap. This is my Chinese army cap. No, I'm not a Uyghur, so I'm okay.
Yeah, for now.
But I mean, when it was when in Rome do as the Romans do, I knew where I was. I knew how the country was run, but I enjoyed the country. It was a beautiful, wonderful country, and the people are terrific. They're just terrific.
The people are. It's the government that is not.
Well, the government's been there a long time doing this, so it's. I
don't care.
It's the brand.
I don't
If you want to leave China, you can leave. Nobody's keeping you there. Yeah, but anyway, yes, Alan.
I just want to mention to Brian. Excuse me. I want to mention to Brian that I had a pinched nerve once, and I had acupuncture, and it worked really good.
You know something? I think
I've heard that.
I think acupuncture is voodoo science.
It's been around for 5,000 years.
It works.
No, I don't care. You say it's been around for 5,000 years. There was a guy by the name of Harrison Salisbury who wrote a book about China. When he was in China, he went to China to do some reporting and stuff. And he had something go wrong on him, and he had to have an operation. And so they wanted to deaden the area they had to operate on, and they gave him acupuncture, and it didn't work. And they said, well, the reason it doesn't work is you're from the West and you don't believe in it. Really, there's a belief that the reason it works on some people is because they believe enough in it that they actually believe they're numbing themselves.
like hypnosis.
Well, was he in China or was he in China?
Now I'm going to
think
get
it's aspirin
the
drinks
problem. The problem is, since you said that, I'm going to be demonetized.
I pinched a nerve in my neck and I had acupuncture. It didn't do anything except make me nauseous. Just FYI.
So at least it works.
No, well,
I'll tell you the one that gets me is Marjorie's always says, you know, your back's hurting. You should go to my chiropractor. Because she goes to a chiropractor all the time. She's been going to a chiropractor for 40 years. I mean, this guy has probably bought a yacht on all the $125 appointments he's done with her. And,
wow. Where's she going?
And so I said, you know, and I got this neuropathy and my feet were numb. And he says, you should really go to my chiropractor. So I go to the chiropractor and he says, well, I need an X-ray of that part of your back. And and I said, well, I already have one because I got one at my neurologist. So I gave him that, and so I had an appointment with him. And I'm telling you, nothing fucking happened. I didn't even, you know, if I go to a doctor and I'm not well, I've got an infection, he gives me an antibiotic, I take the antibiotic, it goes away. I didn't expect miracles in one visit, but I expected something.
For $120, you could have gone and got the tennis channel instead.
Exactly.
I'm moving to Texas, and I'm going to get with Charlie, and we're going to be ebony and ivory chiropractors, and we're going to make some Skrilla.
Yeah, she's Charlie's wife.
I've gone to chiropractors for my whole life, and they work. My dad was a
divorced Tony.
I think, you know why? I think it's the same reason as with
it's not psychosomatic. I was skeptical.
I think it's the same as what do you call it? As acupuncture. That if you believe in it, it works. I just, you know, first of all, he's telling me, and now go home and you have this to do and that to do and do this exercise and do that exercise. And I'm going, I didn't come here because I want to exercise. I came here because I don't want to exercise.
Right.
Okay? I want you to do something to me, like hit me in the back and all of a sudden it feels better, you know? And but I'm not coming to you to have you tell me that, well, I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now go home and do this homework. Like, do 5 hours of this, you know?
Hey, Charlie and I will take care of it, Alex.
Yeah.
Trust us.
Your new husband, Kathleen.
You know something?
He's
I have a new husband.
No.
She's a cheater.
Don't you know
Don't tell
don't
Tony.
you know about Kathleen?
Sorry, he'll be upset.
Don't you know about Kathleen? She's marrying people everywhere.
Yeah, but hey, when she's done when she gets with Charlie, remember, you go black.
You never go back.
You won't come back.
Charlie's the last one.
But if you have problems going back, your back can be taken care of by a chiropractor.
Oh yeah, there you go. That could be a slogan.
Alex?
Yes, Charlene.
You know, I think Marjorie, you never had the back shots because I had one.
Oh, she
two
gets
of them.
these. She gets these.
And
shots
they
in
don't
her
do
back.
anything. I
Oh.
guess because I don't believe in it, right?
No. She gets these things, and they do help. I mean, she has these.
Because she believes in it?
No, because it actually numbs it.
Is it an epidural or is it cortisone?
I don't know what they're putting in her back.
Yeah, I don't. It's a steroid they put in your
It's a
back.
steroid, I think.
Cortisone.
Yeah, I think.
Cortisone.
It's
I've had that shot. Brian, also don't do that. I did that shot for the pinched nerve. It made it worse. Just FYI.
You know, Brian, I
That's what
would go to
happened
a
to me. It
doctor
made
and
it
stop
worse.
listening to Ray.
What a bunch
Yeah.
of what? You see this, Ross? How old?
Charlene
hold
backed
on a
me
second.
up. I'm sorry.
Hold on a second, Ross. How old are you now?
34.
34. Isn't it wonderful hearing a bunch of old farts complain about their health?
I know, and I was healthy until I joined the show.
Yeah, really.
Right. Then it's
I'm having all kinds of problems.
Then it's waiting room.
You know, I this week I went to my urologist and he did a blood test to see how my what do you call it was doing. My
Prostate.
PSA.
How my PSA was, okay, and it came back that it's almost undetectable. All right. Great. Which is great news. Terrific news. Been about a year and a half since I had the prostate surgery and stuff like that. Not the removal of the prostate, but, you know, the seeds and the radiation and so on. So that's good news, right? So what do? I start worrying about other things. Like, does this look infected to you?
Oh, my God.
I get the same way, Alex. I wonder if my damn Taco Bell's going to be open.
Well, no. Well, what happens with me is I worry about. I wake up every morning saying, "What is it that's going to get me?" You know, obviously, it's not going to be the prostate, at least for the time being, right? What is it? My heart's fine. I have a doctor. My general practitioner is also a heart guy. And he gives me all the heart tests and everything else, and that's just fine, you know, that's terrific. I wake up in the morning and go, what's going to get me? You know?
Hey, remember when I used to read you your horoscope? It was me, my career. Do you think it's cancer? me, my career. Me, cancer, my career.
You must have enjoyed it. You stuck around.
Well, because I loved you, Bennett Gordon Schwarzman.
Gordon? Oh.
Not to change topics, but does anyone... do you guys know about the update on the Miami high-rise thing? Because
yeah.
Because I'm obviously I only heard about it, but that's all I've heard.
149
Have they found more people?
Well,
still buried, and probably at this point, almost 24 hours later, nobody will be brought out alive.
No, they said 72 hours.
72.
Yeah,
well, it happened yesterday morning, so.
Yeah.
God, it's like 9/11.
Well, it's
Yeah, it's
terrible.
9/11.
It's terrible, and I feel bad for anybody who was there. But on the other hand, I go through this thing that goes, well, they were in Florida, you know, so I don't care.
I mean, my dad is a structural engineer. I mean, he built bridges and buildings. And when he heard about it, he said, Florida, well, Florida's sinking, so think about it. And I said, no, Dad, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was built on reclaimed wetlands.
Yeah.
It's 100 feet from the beach.
Used to be called
swampland.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Union City in California. If there's an earthquake, it turns to jello.
It's worse than Union City because it's 100 feet from the ocean, from the Atlantic Ocean where this building was.
It's so sad.
I think also the problem is it's Florida. It's Florida.
Yeah, it's sinking.
No, but it's also...
Well, it's a swamp.
No, but it's not so much that it's a swamp, but that if you're going to build in a swamp, then you better have local ordinances that prevent you from not building it safely. I'm sure you can build in a swamp. It's possible, okay?
Yep.
But you've got to take extra precautions, and I think they didn't take extra precautions.
So what about the tower downtown San Francisco that's already dropped 7 inches?
The Millennium Towers.
I thought it was like leaning.
It's leaning.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
You're both right.
Yeah.
It's leaning and sinking.
Yeah.
And it's on fill.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think though it'll be pretty good because as it goes down and down and down, people can adapt to it by moving their furniture to the wall.
No. The first floor becomes the second floor.
Yeah. Josh doesn't have any of these problems where he is.
Which problems?
Exactly.
Right. Tall buildings? No.
We're talking about the building in Florida that, collapsed.
Most of the people, if they haven't been found alive,
it was horrible. It was just horrible what happened there. It's Florida. Where else would it happen?
Yeah.
New York City, somewhere around.
No, I'll tell you, New York City.
No, the building codes are more strict.
Right now, I'm having to suffer through months and months and months and months and months and months of pointing in my building to make sure that all the mortar is in there, and that the bricks won't fall out, and so on. They're replacing bricks that are loose. They have to do this by law every 30 years, something like that. But Shecky had to do it at his home. Okay, if you have a house that's made of bricks, the three little pigs would have to go out and get somebody to point, you know. But New York is like very, very big on that. You don't hear about buildings falling down in New York City.
No.
But
to be honest, we did, and we have not heard the end of it.
What was you had that problem?
No, we did hear about buildings falling down in New York City, and we have not stopped hearing about it.
Oh! You mean when you fly?
9/11,
wait a minute. When you fly planes into them, they don't have a tendency to be able to take care of that kind of impact.
Yeah.
Okay. You know.
But yeah, it's like all I got was like a news headline saying, "Oh yeah, this building collapsed," and that's all I've gotten feedback in the background. It was like, we don't even cover American shootings anymore.
Yeah.
No,
there's too many of them.
Yeah. We wouldn't have any news for Australia.
Well, you know, if we stop covering them here, they might happen less. I just think that a guy goes berserko and then he thinks, well, I saw it on the news. Some guy went in and shot up a mall. I think
gives
I'll
people
do
ideas.
That. Huh?
Yeah. Gives them ideas.
Yeah, gives them ideas.
Yeah, now that we don't have Trump to pick on anymore.
Yeah, I guess we don't. I think. By the way, you know who I saw on, if you get a chance, go on YouTube. Jimmy Kimmel had, what's his name on, the lawyer?
Giuliani?
No,
Cohen.
And man, he was funny.
Cohen's hilarious.
Huh?
He's hilarious.
He really is. He's very, very funny. You know,
you got to have a sense of humor working with Trump, I guess.
He said, "Do you think?" He said, "I think Kimmel said that Giuliani said he wasn't worried about the actions that the city has taken against him or the state has taken against him by doing away with his license for his law firm and for him." And he said, "Of course he's not worried about it. He's got enough problems worrying about winding up in jail." You know. And
that's a good line.
No, he talked about.
You know,
he said, "Have you ever seen Trump do anything really ridiculous?" And he said, "Well, I saw him come out of a shower once with wet hair."
Ew.
Oh my God.
I started to vomit at that.
Yeah.
But so is work going good, Brian?
Yes. Yeah, we're doing some live sessions with China right now, showing them how to do the stuff because we can't travel. So
well, no, sort of crazy. And if you did travel there, yeah, you could get in, but then you would have to have their vaccination, and you would have to wait in a hotel for 2 weeks before you get out and do anything. By that time, it's time to go home.
Yeah, I think one of the other things is, since there'll be some delays, that everything's happening all at once. So all of our factories are starting to get hired and all this stuff all at one time. So we have 3 factories in the Bay Area, and then Sunnyvale still expanding. So yeah, we're looking for like 40 engineers right now just to put the machines together.
What's funny in China, and it's really silly, I guess, is that if you've been vaccinated, you know, and you've had the 2 vaccines and all of that, and you've been vaccinated, you still have to be vaccinated by them. They don't trust the American vaccinations.
You blame them?
Are they still doing the mandatory rectal thermometering?
The what?
That was the thing. Yeah, that's right. Australia's in the trade war with China, so they're only doing it to us. All diplomats and business consular officials going to China have to have their temperature taken rectally.
That's right, mother.
Really? Those little handgun things aren't good enough for them?
Apparently not when you're in the middle of a trade war with China.
Oh, I see.
They do the handheld thing, but you just gotta bend over and pull your pants down.
I'm going to China.
They haven't met my urologist, have they?
Oh, with short fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, they're trying to do like the gun one, but they're going the wrong way to do it.
Yes. I haven't used my gun in, a couple of weeks. I should test myself right now.
There you go.
Oh, there goes 10 minutes.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
We only have 2 more minutes of the show.
Yeah.
Do that.
You know,
Nope.
can I do a bad joke or something here, Alex, real fast?
Wait, I'm going to France on Monday for 7 weeks, FYI. And,
Oh, wow.
I'll be it'll be 5 in the morning. I'm usually up because I can't sleep, so I'll try to call in.
Try to call, really, dude.
Are you acting?
No. My son's going to be working up in the Alps with his cousin.
How nice! How nice!
The goats.
Yeah,
Alex.
It's really nice.
Alex,
yeah. What?
If Curtis Lewa were to be mayor of New York, he'd be the first one to wear a beret or something, right?
Yeah.
You think he'll lose the beret?
I have no idea.
I think it's a joke.
I have no idea. He's not going to win. I don't even know.
I know
if
he's
gonna,
not.
I don't know if he's going to even get the nomination. But
one of them's a retired fire captain or police captain. Or
yeah. That's the guy who looks like he's going to be mayor of New York.
Oh,
which I'm not that happy about. But
turned into a police state again, like when Giuliani was there.
Yeah, well, I just don't. What the hell? I don't like him. I don't think he's that good. But anyway, what happened to Kathleen? We lost her, and we only have like oh, there she is. Okay, we only have a minute left.
Just want her boobies seen.
What?
Do you want you to be
What?
demonetized?
You're obsessed with Kathleen's breasts. What is this?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I don't know. I like women's
You're
breasts.
always
What's
making
wrong with
jokes
that?
about her
How do you know
breasts.
what they look like?
Because Alex early on was describing them in detail.
No, I wasn't describing them in detail.
No. Alex is very respectful of me.
I'm very.
I know where you live.
I'm very respectful of her boobs. Damn it.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know. What?
Me too.
You too. Yes. Good. Good. Well, you know, it's getting to be almost time to. Is it almost time to get out of here? Oh yeah, it is. I just looked at my clock here.
And what a week it's been.
What do you mean?
And how?
You mean on
That
this?
was the week that was.
On this show?
Oh, I
Yeah,
heard.
lots of drama.
Oh, yeah.
My husband told me everything.
Yeah. Well, your husband.
I watched Tuesday. Wow, that was something.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony telling me to go fuck myself.
No, that was
must have
on
been at the
Wednesday.
end. I missed that.
That's one
I
for
dropped,
the.
How
I
dare
dropped my
we?
phone.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
hey.
have to get a divorce.
Anyway, Ray. Hopefully, we'll hear from you when you go to France. Boy.
Yeah. I usually can't sleep early in the morning, so I'll just call in, man.
Yeah. And since you're going to be in the Alps, you'll learn to yodel, and you can yodel on the show. Yeah.
And
Thank
it's a
you.
bicycle.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Josh. Josh been a little quiet tonight, but that's okay. Kevin, thank you so much for telling us all about gas stations in California. Kathleen, always a pleasure to have you here and hear you curse in Spanish.
Buenas noches.
Yeah. Ray Renati,
Buenas
thank you.
noches, mija.
Thank you, Brian. And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see you next week. And same thing with you, Charlene. Thank you all for being here. Why don't you all give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye back at you, okay? There they go, folks. That's our citizen panel for tonight and for this week. And they will be reassembling some of them on the program right after us, which is Jack Bishop and The Intersection. You can call him using Skype, and the call letter is Gabnet Live. Gabnet Live. See you again, when is it? Monday we'll be here at 4 o'clock for the pop-up show. And then the actual show like this one, the Ramble, will be here on Tuesday. In the meantime, as always, I'll see you then. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And if you haven't gotten the vaccine yet, get a needle in your arm. Call it macaroni. Anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.